Alright guys, welcome back. Welcome to the first video. So pretty much what this YouTube is going to be for is journaling my trades, recapping my trades, and yeah, pretty much everything in between. So this is my P&L for right now. Today we're up 1423, and yeah, I mean, this is first day on a new account. Let's get into the trade I took. This is going to be, so we're going to show exactly what happened here. Okay, starting off, we're on the 1 minute time frame, as you can tell. Opening the chart, I'm already seeing we're above VWAP, and pretty much what that means is when we are above VWAP, I am looking for longs. If we are under VWAP, I'm looking for shorts because I do not want to trade against the trend. Yeah, that's pretty much simply how I find my daily bias. It's usually just whatever, if it's above or below, and I just trade with the trend. So today, for example, we were above, so I knew that we were going long. I got on the 1 minute time frame, obviously looking for different zones. At first, I actually marked out this, and if you can tell, hold on, as you can see here, we tapped in a couple times. It wasn't great. I had a bad liquidity sweep too. It was right here. We didn't have a good reaction, so I stopped out early at $90 something. But after that, I decided this was a better entry for me. So this was my demand zone, and this was the liquidity I used because obviously we had an obvious draw on liquidity. So when I enter my demand zones, what I look for is a 3 candle pattern at least. So whether that, so it's an imbalance of any sort. So like this could have worked as well, but obviously we didn't tap into there. But if you wanted to mark out both, you could have, and you could have entered off whichever one tapped. And so pretty much what I did here is you find your imbalance and you look for a 3 candle pattern. That's my strongest entry. So when I see a 3 candle pattern, that's where I feel the most comfortable. And I was on the 1 minute time frame. As I was saying, find this imbalance and then you mark it out because this is our demand. You're looking for a 3 candle pattern because that just shows that we have an obvious like trend coming off of that demand zone. So for example, this demand zone is created. That means we have bigger or stronger orders, stronger amounts of volume in this area. So that means whatever this level is where bigger market movers were entering. That's why it creates such a big pull. And so pretty much, obviously, we have that big gap. Now, as we're going up, you can look at this on literally any time frame. So, like, you see, we have that. That's that draw that I was talking about on this. If you wanted to look lower, but it just was rough. So we create this liquidity. So pretty much what we're looking for is usually, so I like when we create a fair value gap in between the zones, in your demand. So what I look for is like a demand and then a fair value gap. Fair value gap is usually used for the creation of liquidity that we're gonna sweep before we tap back into that demand zone to take a run. So for example, right here we see what's it called? We can see that we made liquidity right here because we tapped back into that zone. We had a strong reaction off it, which is perfect, literally textbook. And then as you can see, came up and we came back down. We marked that liquidity, had the tap back in, and we smashed through the liquidity. So let me show you. Smashed through the liquidity. I had a limit buy right here for 10 contracts, and we entered off of that. That was our tap in right here for 10 contracts. We entered off, and then what I'm looking for on the way down from back into our demand zone, I look for a fair value gap because I like to use, some people don't do it. Some people just trail hard. What I do is I base my break even and my trail off of another confirmation, which is my fair value gap. So pretty much when this gap gets inversed, I know to go break even or even trail harder because I know this is going full TP. It's pretty much, that's my strategy. That's how I do it. I use an extra confirmation just to make sure. So I enter early without the confirmation, and then I'm break even as we're tapping into that fair value gap just to make sure that I don't take a loss. And it's just playing it safe. Also, obviously you get stopped out more, but you also have a way higher win percentage and you play it a lot safer, so it's worth it. And so obviously I'll show you guys how I was trailing. So I was right when we tapped in here, I'm already break even. We broke out when we closed up here, I was at the bottom of this fair value, or bottom of this inverse. We never had a retest, so when we broke this, if we look at the gap, it was a 30-minute wick at that level. That's that 30-minute wick, and then on the 5-minute, we had a huge gap, as you can see. So looking at that, we know that we're gonna have a little bit of draw, or a little bit of bearish orders in that area. So when we broke above this what's it called, 930 level, which is that 5-minute gap, and also that where that wick is, I trailed even harder. So I was about the last candle's wick, and then when we pushed above that, I saw that we created new fair value gaps, as you can see, boom, boom, and then I just kept trailing hard, and then I held my stop right here and just let it play out the rest of the way. And yeah, how I felt before the trade, honestly, I felt like, to be honest, when I got on the charts, I was more trying to go live and just trying to see, like, understand everything, like how to go live on TikTok and stuff like that. So it was a cool experience. How I felt going into this trade, I was very confident off of this. First of all, off of all of my confirmations and entry points. As you can see, we have the demand, we have the liquidity, we had the, what's it called, inverse, which is very important for me. And I felt very confident. I felt very confident because of the reaction we had off that demand zone, also that we were above with VWAP, so this was a plus entry. And then as the trade was going, how I felt also very confident the whole time. I was not worried, because right when we broke out of that zone, I was already break even, so it was literally no risk trade. And then as we were pushing up, also felt great. When we stopped out, I did feel a little when we took profit, I did feel a little emotional, obviously happy, but you know, stuff we got to work on for next time is not rushing to enter a trade. I entered a trade before this one, right here at this line. So I entered somewhere around here is where I entered early, and I got stopped out for like $96, which is, I shouldn't have even rushed it when I knew I had a better zone down here with a better draw and liquidity and everything. So that's something I got to work on, just making sure that I am more patient in the market. But other than that, we had a great night. It's 3:10 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, so I'm gonna go get some sleep. I'm gonna have this video up probably tomorrow. I appreciate you guys watching, and more than anything, this is for me just to get better and, like, you know, keep track of my progress. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Have a good night. I'm going to sleep. I'll be up at 8 a.m. to stream, and I'm gonna be posting on TikTok tomorrow a couple clips of this trading. And yeah, I appreciate you guys so much.